A man had 10 children, and he had promised them that when he died, that he would give each of them 100 gold coins. Now, as it happened, when the man did indeed draw near to death, his financial circumstances were not what they had been when he had made that promise. The day came when it was apparent that he would soon die. So he called his grown children to him, and one by one he gave each of his first 9 children the promised purse with 100 gold coins. When it came time to give his youngest son a purse, he waved everyone else out from the room. "My child," he said, "I have fallen on hard times financially, so I don't have enough left to give you the 100 gold coins I promised. I have given you 20. But along with these 20 coins, I also leave you my 10 closest companions." You see, friendship is worth much more than gold. So please, please, treat them kindly. And within minutes, he was gone. After the funeral, in the period of mourning, the youngest child took the 20 coins and he used them to pay outstanding bills and debts, you know, the kind we all have. And when he was finished, he only had 4 coins left. And he thought, this is really not fair. I don't understand. Why didn't I get the 20? And now I must also be kind to my father's 10 closest friends. Yet despite his feelings of anger and his disappointment at his inheritance, the youngest son took the 4 coins and made a wonderful feast for his father's friends. All of them came, and there was much reminiscing and celebration around the table that night. Do you ever think about the legacy you'll someday leave? About what you'll leave behind when you are gone? I don't know, maybe it's my age and the fact that I'm getting older, but I've been thinking about that a lot of late. Perhaps it had something to do with the reflection that came with our 10th anniversary celebration last Sunday, and seeing and hearing from old friends who, while they may no longer attend this church, were important in planting it and in shaping who we have become. Or maybe it has something to do with Pastors Appreciation Month and reflecting on those pastors in my own life who had a tremendous influence on who I would become, who taught me and loved me and shaped me into the pastor I am today, better or worse. Just blame them for the good stuff and not the bad. Or maybe I haven't quite finished with the gospel according to Mr. Rogers yet. I keep thinking I'm done, but for some reason Mr. Rogers won't seem to let me go. Talk about a legacy that someone left behind. Did you know that his influence extended well beyond the ending of his show and the countless lives he touched through his broadcasts? That it simply wasn't relegated to the past when he retired? There's a current show, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, that is very much the descendant of Mr. Rogers' original Neighborhood. How cool is that? In 2006, 3 years after Fred Rogers' death, the Fred Rogers Company contacted Angela Santamero to ask what type of show she would create to promote Fred Rogers' legacy. That conversation led to the creation of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. The series features Daniel Tiger, son of Mom Tiger and Dad Tiger. Remember Daniel Stripe Tiger from the original show? It also features other children of the characters from the neighborhood of make-believe that Mr. Rogers so vividly created. Characters such as Katarina Kitty Cat, who is the daughter of Henrietta Pussycat, and Miss Elena, the daughter of Lady Elaine Fairchild, and Music Man Stan. O the Owl, nephew of X the Owl, and Prince Wednesday, King Friday, and Queen Sarah Saturday's youngest son, and Prince Tuesday's little brother. The legacy continues. And what a beautiful legacy it is. Perhaps it has something to do with a recent clergy event I attended and the inevitable comparisons that take place whenever two or more preachers are gathered together. You know, I've thought about that a lot, and I always do that when I go to some kind of mandatory clergy event where we're all gathered together in one room, and I look over at so-and-so, and she's done so much more than I have, or him who's in this big steeple church in a downtown somewhere. That's just what we preachers do. Maybe it's our fragile egos, I'm not really sure, but we compare. And so I started thinking about, what's my legacy? I'm not going to leave a $8.5 million sanctuary at First Methodist Church Round Rock behind when I retire. Not at all. We barely make it week to week, month to month. What's my legacy? And so I've thought about that, and I've thought about that. And I wonder what it is. What is the footprint, if you will, that Journey of Faith will have on this community going forward, not just now, but in the future? You know how kids are always trying on their parents' shoes? This is a little girl who, she's about 18 months old, and she's the daughter of a young man that I've known since he was 7, and she's in her daddy's work boots. Kids are always doing that, right? What's the footprint we're leaving, the shoes that we're leaving for others to follow after us? What's the path we're leading them down? What's our legacy, if you will? All Saints is about remembering those people in whose footsteps we followed. But I think it's also a time to reflect on the footprints that we're stepping out there and offering to those who follow us. You know, kids today almost always have bigger feet in the end than their parents did. You know, we inherited a great faith from our ancestors in the faith, and sometimes we had to stretch and grow those footprints they left to make them bigger. You know, we stretch the inclusiveness of the church, right? That's what we've done here. And perhaps the kids who follow us will stretch it even more and make it even bigger and better than what we've done. You remember that story I told at the beginning? Despite the feelings of anger and disappointment, the youngest took the 4 coins and made a wonderful feast for the friends of his father, and all of them came, and there was much reminiscing and celebration around the table that night. Well, the next day, the friends gathered and consulted with one another. You know, this youngest child of our dear friends has been so kind. He's been so hospitable to us. None of these other children have even hosted us in this same way. We, his friends, must return the kindness, they said. So the 10 friends each sent the youngest a small purse of money. And they pooled their resources to also send him 2 cows. Some offered their assistance in teaching the youngest how to care for and breed the cattle. Some offered good advice on investing his newfound money. Soon the youngest had a large herd of cattle, many sound investments, and was richer than all the other 9 children combined. The father's words always echoed in that youngest son's head. Friendship. Friendship is much more valuable than gold. Maybe what's important is not a big $8.5 million sanctuary or a big steeple church. Maybe it's those friendships, those relationships. It's a place of inclusion and grace where broken people can find God and find healing. And maybe that's what's important in a legacy. You know, Colin and I were talking this past week and talking about how there are other churches in Round Rock now that are fully inclusive, like we are. But 14 years ago, 9 years ago, actually, when we became a reconciling church, but 14 years ago when we started with that intent, there weren't any others. We were the only truly inclusive church in all of Round Rock and the surrounding area. Austin, yes, but not here. And maybe we help set those footprints for others to follow. It's nice not to be alone anymore. It's awesome. It's awesome to see God's kingdom truly growing the way God intended it always to be. But we have a legacy, do we not? We were the first to make that happen in Round Rock, Texas. And we took some heat from that. You know, it was only about 4 years ago that I attended that Reconciling Ministries convocation up in Maryland, and we were awarded the Voices in the Wilderness Award as a congregation, and we came back and we were so excited, and somebody said, hey, let's put that in the paper and tell them. And so we offered it up to Round Rock leader, and guess what? 4 years ago, they refused to print it because it might be too controversial. Yet we started this journey 14 years ago. And 9 years ago, we went on record as being a reconciling church. And let me tell you, our bishop was not happy. He's still not. And now we have a sister congregation in Georgetown, Wellspring, that's also reconciling, the number 2 church in our country conference to do that. But we were the first, folks, and that's our legacy. We're trailblazers. You're trailblazers. You opened your hearts when others would not. You opened your doors when others were not. You said, all are children of God. All are loved. All are valued just as you are. You don't have to change. Come, we love you. God loves you. Find a family here, a place where you can break the brokenness that's been done to you by the church and by family and by friends, and know that you are welcome and that you have a family. Those are the footprints we've left behind. There's a song called Find Us Faithful. Some of you may know it. It's an old contemporary song by Steve Green. Talks about footsteps. Listen. Thank you. I hope you love that song. Isn't that an awesome song? May all who come behind us find us faithful. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for being a place of grace, a place of love, a place of inclusion, where all of us, no matter what we look like, or how we act, or what we believe, or who we love, can come together and find a place where we find family. We can offer our own individual brokenness to find healing in a group, a community of people who love us no matter what. May we continue to be that place. And if that's the only legacy, the only footprint we leave in Round Rock, Texas, that's quite a legacy, is it not? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with never pastoring a huge church, because I tell you what, folks, I'd rather be here any day of the week than down the road at First Methodist Round Rock. Nothing against them. I don't need that to be affirmed. Your presence here, your love, the fact that you find God here is enough. Because really and truly, that's what it's about. Thank you for being faithful. May we continue to be found faithful as God works in and through us to reach others. Amen.